Hey guys and girls, Nathan here, just checking in, waiting for everyone to come on to the live. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. A little bit of a up late Facebook Live, just got to the office and been running around, just been busy. It's very, very busy. So yeah, if you can see me and hear me and all that, give us a like and send me a little message that you can see me, and I will get into what could be a very fun evening for us to chat. So I'll try and keep this somewhat to about an hour. It may go over that. I've got lots of things to catch up on. It's been a while since I've been on Facebook Live. I've been smashing out those podcasts, and it's been fun. But I've also been very, very busy. I've never been as busy as what I have been in 2021, which is great. But yeah, what a cool time to be alive. So I can see that a lot of you guys and girls are tuning in and joining me. So I'll get straight into it. Um, I hope everyone's being safe. I'm going to be very um, politically correct with what I say here, because if I'm not, I'll be muzzled and censored and whatnot. But I hope everyone's being safe in what I would call World War III, right? And I say that with a smile on my face. People don't even realize what they're walking into and what all of this mess has been. I said from day one that the whole agenda was very, very weird, and I didn't agree with it. And here we are. Everyone's got the propaganda machine out to get the good old jabby jabby, and who knows what it is for. But I want to go into a few things about that. I'm not going to talk too much about that sort of stuff. I'll stick in my own lane. What I do know is about finances, the financial system. I'm very well versed and understanding of what's going on out there with the financial markets. I know bullshit when I see it. I've called bullshit for years. And when I actually started, the funny thing happened going back about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I started talking about that we're going to go into a global financial depression. We're going to see a depression of biblical proportions. We would see interest rates going to zero and all these sorts of things. Strangely enough, the media didn't like it, and they started putting out their, tarnishing, sort of disparaging sort of articles. After it's always been fabulous for me, they put out there some funny articles, which is really weird. And it's like I've stepped on someone's toes in this system which do not like me, right? I've had meetings, I've been called in front of people over the years. Let's call them the men in black of different sorts of government organizations, which are like a mafia when it comes to regulation and all that sort of stuff. And they don't like speaking out. So I speak out, I say things as they are. I know bullshit when I see it. I know bullshit when I see it in the media. I don't go on TV as much nowadays. I don't go into the media that much nowadays because it's just all a big bullshit propaganda machine. People used to say, "Oh, Kim Jong Un, he's a bad guy. He's a terrible person. He look at what he does to his people, etc." I remember a few years ago, I said to my mate's wife, she said she thought I'd lost my mind because I said that Kim Jong Un, I don't know him, right? I can't say if he's a bad bloke or not, but I said there's bad people out there that are even worse than this bloke. And she looked at me like I was like, I'd lost the plot. And here we are in a world where everybody's being programmed and conditioned to accept, as they call it, a new normal. But is it a new normal or a new agenda that they are putting out? And I've seen the cracks in the system way before this came. I'm not professing I thought that they'd blame an Asian guy eating a bat in the back of China or wherever it was that caused this. But yeah, it's just a very, very interesting time. And I've got things that I'm going to talk about today. I've printed off some very important articles. I've printed off some documentation from the government. Um, yeah, so I'm going to get into that. I do have a little bit of an agenda. I was trying to type it whilst I was, yeah, coming here, basically. So, as I said, I feel like we're heading into World War III. We've been here for quite a while, but this one is not being fought with bullets and blood and all that sort of stuff. It's being fought with the minds and the brains and the the information that's being fed from propaganda. And people laugh at me, people say shit, whatever. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I seek to ask questions, and I ask questions. And is critical thinking so bad? If it is, well, then shoot me now. So um, the thing is, if we look at all the organizations out there, I saw this video. I forget actually, I think it was one of my investors, Vesna, who's one of my investors, sent me a video on YouTube the other day. It's called Monopoly. You can't search for it in YouTube. Everything's being censored and controlled. It's an Orwellian world. I encourage everybody that's watching this to, if you're using your phone or whatever, when you're using Google search, do not use Google search. Everything on there is censored and muzzled. I use a thing called DuckDuckGo. It does sound funny, DuckDuckGo, but it is like a Google which isn't censored, and you've got free content. It doesn't hide the information and have fake info in there. So use DuckDuckGo. But basically, this video that was sent through, I posted it in Birchfeed. If you're not in Birchfeed, don't be a tight ass. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. I don't ask you for a credit card. And talk about asking anyone for credit cards. In my comment sections of my videos, of my images and all that, there's all these fake phishing or whatever you call them, sort of things that popping up. I will never ask you for cryptocurrency. I'll never ask you to spend money with me. If you are going to do business with us, we've got a whole suite of different businesses, got lots of staff, got lots of different businesses that operate. You'll do business with them. You will not be asked ever to enter in any money or any competitions or anything like that that involves you parting with cryptocurrencies or money or information that would be weird. So there is a lot of scams out there today. So looking at Birchfeed, join up to it. It's birchfeed.com. Just go to the website later. I post out the information every day, just weird stuff, stuff that could help you survive or prosper during this time. I'm the most happiest guy. People say, Nathan, why are you so happy? Sydney's in a fucking lockdown, right? Sydney's in a lockdown. I'm living my life as I normally would. I'm thankful for the fact that there's not idiots on the cars justifying their existence by just driving around aimlessly. I'm thankful for the fact that, the world's still really well. We're living in a country where one person's died in a year from an illness. How many people died from suicide or from, I don't know, cancer or any of those sorts of things? We're blessed we live in this country, right? Is there an illness out there? I'm not even going to get into that. It's just a good time to be alive. But there's so much opportunity, and that's what I want to talk about today, because the opportunity, it's amazing. Some people's lives are going to be turned into shit, absolute dog shit from this period in time. And, there's two sides of the spectrum, right? You can see the levers that are being pulled. You can go and understand that and go on the other side and be the kings of that, or you can just accept what you're being fed. No information out there is for free. As I was saying, Vesna, one of my investor clients, sent a link called Monopoly the other day. You cannot search it. It's in Birchfeed. So you go to Birchfeed. I posted it maybe 3 or 4 days ago. It talks about the organizations out there that rule the world. I actually, years ago, I used to drink. Now I've just got my water that I got out of the car. One night I was having a few drinks, looking at things, having a chat with one of my mates about all the companies on the stock market. And I realized from doing research in every single stock market company, right, publicly listed company out there, and when people ask me about shares and stocks and all that sort of stuff, I say it's all fucking bullshit, because I don't invest my money, because it's not physical, right? These companies might be worth like $1 million, right? And then they get a first round of capital, second round of capital. Then the big hedge funds, what they do is they package them up in derivatives. They keep half the stock. Then what they do is they sell off the rest of the crumbs to the mums and dads and the investors, which everyone gets suckered into. That's called the stock market. Then there's a couple of institutions called BlackRock and Vanguard, which seem to own sort of like 10% of every company out there in the stock market. And I find it interesting, why do these companies own these businesses, right? Why are they all owned by them? Who controls these? Who are the regulators? Whose regulators are they, right? And they're the questions we need to be asking. But anyway, if we've got let's call it Pepsi and Coca-Cola, and they're both owned by the same place, right? Let's assume that let's say that Birchie owns Coca-Cola and Birchie owns Pepsi, but you don't realize that Birchie owns them. You're just buying from them. If Birchie controls those two companies, well, they're not competitors. They're the same company. And let's say that Birchie owns the same medical company and owns the same media and propaganda outlet. And let's say that Birchie owns all the other things. You'd start seeing the picture that it's a rigged game, right? That is the game we're in. We've got all this propaganda that's being pushed through these companies which have vested interests. The media's a lie, the propaganda's a lie, the shows that you're watching, people go, oh wow, Netflix seen this movie, it's the greatest thing. It's fucking owned by the Satanist people that are controlling us, right? And I'm not trying to get out there and get too far off track, but just be careful with the media that you're being told, because World War III is not the guns and the blood and sending troops around everywhere. It's a war on the spirits, a war on the mind, and the war on the people, because people are being lied to and controlled from the propaganda. So just be very careful with that. Getting into the important part of this evening, I can see there's lots of you here, and I thank you for watching me before your bedtime. So my screen's disappeared here. So first article here is, where is it? There's a few articles. I'm just going to split them up into different parts. Because people have been messaging me and saying interest rates are going to rise, Nathan. Aren't you scared? Didn't you say interest rates were going down to zero? Why are the interest rates going up, etc., etc.? Unfortunately, I've only got, say, 3 articles here, and I hoped to have had more articles. But I'm going to start with this one, right? So this is media out from news.com. And I've got lots of friends at news.com, so no hanging shit on the people, but they're just doing their job. But, here we are with articles from news.com. And the question I ask you, just one more thing about the media, right? Whenever you see TV, whether it's a movie, a documentary, or news, or whatever the case may be, what you're not seeing is not someone there talking about information that they've physically gone to research, things that they're questioning, things that they've gone to do their own research for. You're watching someone that's reading a fucking script, right? And as you watch someone that's reading a script out there, then who's writing that script? So once again, if you had Pepsi and Coca-Cola, what about if you had Channel 9, 7, or 10, right? Who owns all of these places, right? It's just a question, right? I'm asking for free thinking questions out there, right? So looking at these organizations, right? Interest rates will rise. This article was out on the 4th of July, 2021, 11:34. Interest rates rise will trigger skyrocketing something or other here. In the past 5 decades, the conditions underpinning the Australian mortgages and property market more broadly have been extremely varied. Between 1970 and 1990, interest rate rises were an ever-present threat to the household budgets. Of course it was, because we had inflation, because we just started raping and pillaging our currency, because our currency was created in 49 years and 11 months, right? On the 15th of August this year will be 50 years of our dollar in its existence like we have it today. That's why it's been 5 decades. It's been tripling from almost a 6% to a peak of more than 17% in 1990. The next 30 years would be almost the exact opposite. Between 1990 and 2020, the RBA slashed interest rates time and time again, with rates falling from 17.5% in January 1990 to sit at a low of just 0.1% today. Rather than lying awake at night at their parents' generation wondering a rate rise would make their financial future all the more challenging, the atmosphere for the current generation of mortgage holders has been far more relaxed. Instead of the threat of RBA raising rates and forcing households to tighten their belts, in the last 3 decades, RBA slashed interest rates every 5 months on average. With the RBA cash rate now sitting at a record low of 0.1%, there is simply no more room for the cash bank to cut rates without taking the cash rate to 0% or below. They can't. Its net position is 0 at the moment, and that's before you can consider inflation. Right? If you're taking out debt at 1 or 2%, just the average inflation's worth more than that. If you were to go get a mortgage, right, and just for all those corporate watchdogs that might want to sit here and sense, Nathan, Right? None of this is financial advice, and I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just here talking act up stuff about what's happening out there. So with it, um, it's impossible for them to raise interest rates. Interest rates can never go up, right? They can never go up. If you were to go and get $1 million right now and enter it in your bank account, right? Where would that $1 million come from? It would come from a bank or an institution. But currency is debt. Your dollars that you use is debt. Once you understand that your money is debt, it is not money, it's not backed by anything, it is just purely debt. It is a fiat currency. Fiat is Latin for fake, right? It's fiat currency, it's fake currency. Looking at the money, if you can realize that money is just debt, the whole paradigm changes, right? You could go and earn $1 million and pay 30 or 40% tax, right? So if you earn $1 million, you probably pay 300-400 grand to the extortion racket, being the tax department. And you might get left with 500-600-700 grand if you're really lucky and play your cards right. So if you were to simply go and borrow $1 million, you'd be getting $1 million net in your pocket, and you'd be paying 2 or 3% per year. So 20 grand a year. So in 15 years, you're telling me if you paid the interest right now and got your money cash in your pocket, or in 15 years you just paid a little bit every year, you're telling me you can't do a better return, plus the fact you're getting the cash flow on it? Understand how it works. Interest is more than what the rate is at the moment. But just goes in here to say, at the same time, the RBA has also put into place yield curve control targeted at 3-year Australian government bonds, which are one of the key benchmarks for long-term funding costs. Under the policy, the RBA attempted to ensure the 3-year bond yield did not rise above 0.25% until the policy was tweaked to the figure of just 0.1%. Right? You get the picture. These articles that are coming out from the media outlets are sitting there telling us interest rates are going up, right? The banks are sitting there tweaking their interest rates. And Lynn messaged on one of my personal Facebook posts before when I started going on. She said, I want to know why the banks are pushing up the fixed rates and all those sorts of things. So I'm not a bank. I like to think how a bank works. I like to understand how the bank smart people, and when you win a war, you understand who your enemy is. You understand how you can study the enemy and how to, outsmart them. So I like to know how these things work, so I can have a targeted approach on how I can make shit happen. So I will get onto that in a moment. I want to read my second article. This is from ABC. Always be communist. It's the Communist News Network of Australia. Mortgage costs to jump as interest rate rises loom. Warns CBA ahead of the Reserve Bank meeting. Ooh, I'm so scared. And nicely, they put some clickbait there and give us an ad for some bank. Thank you. Thank you for the bank ad in the middle of our thing. Australians could soon be paying more than $26 billion a year in extra mortgage repayments as interest rates begin to normalise. They call it normalising of an interest rate. Interest rates aren't normal because they're fake. We've never had such a global fiat debt-based Ponzi monetary system as what we have today. But anyway, goes on to say the Reserve Bank's decision to be announced today at 2:30 will be widely watched. Not because anyone expects to move the official cash rate, sitting a record low 0.1%. That doesn't mean, however, that the Reserve's actions will leave interest rates unchanged. It's widely expected to tweak its government bond buying program, which has become a major factor pushing mortgage rates, particularly fixed rates, to record lows. Even ahead of announcement, many longer-term 3-year plus fixed-rate mortgages have been rising, with NAB, the latest bank to edge its 2, 3, and 5-year loans as much as 0.1 of a percentage higher. Oh, wow. Ooh. Interest rates have gone up by 1.1 of a percent. So if you had $1 million mortgage and your interest rate goes up by 1%, it'll be 10 grand a year. If it goes up 0.1 of a percent, that's $1,000 a year. Ooh, right? Most people's mortgages are 300 grand, 500 grand. If you're playing with interest rates at, 100 grand or 200 grand, it's like fucking $60 a year or something. How far can interest rates go up? There's a maximum of where interest rates can go up, and that is 2 25 basis increases, right? By the time the interest rates go up, we have got so much debt The system that we have needs inflation to stay alive. It needs inflation to keep active. It cannot work from deflation. Whenever we see deflation, they have to push the money printers on, print out money to create expansion of the monetary supply. So think about it. The more money they print, the more it expands. Everything expands. Deflation is then taken away money from the system and it comes back. Any little tweak that they do now, if they push it up by 1%, just getting back to where it was 12 months ago, by 1%, the whole system will implode. People can't afford it. Everyone's got a 250 square meter block 5 minutes down the road from where my office is, paying $1.2 million for a house with no fucking eaves and it's got no yard. That's the world that we're living in. If all their mortgages went up by 1%, they'll be going bankrupt. So I haven't even talked about them being locked in their houses yet. So this is a different story. This is the important article. There's 3 articles that I've got. I'm going to read a couple off my phone. This one here this isn't even an announcement. This is from APRA. This is the Australian Prudential Regulation Authority or some shit. It's one of those commie sort of controlling sort of entities where the men in black looking sort of fellows come out and try and control the system using propaganda, which is the media. So think about this video, right? Just think about this video and what I'm saying, the words I'm saying, and I'm trying to put a picture together so you can understand the lies and the fraudulent system that's being played, whether it's people wearing a mask, whether it's the little symbols that they put out there, whether it's the little one eye closed, whether it's sort of the little figures that are on any of their logos or anything like that. Just be really mindful of that because it all plays a part. The Australian Prudential Regulation Authority has released for consultation a letter to authorised deposit-taking institutions, ADIs, i.e. your bank. A deposit-taking institution is, authorised deposit-taking institutions is a bank, on its draft expectations regarding ADI's preparedness for the possibility of zero and negative interest rates. Preparedness for the possibility of zero and negative interest rate. The letter to the industry is available on the APRA website at consultation on zero negative interest rates. You can get access to these links and this information and my research on a daily basis, right? It's free. Yes, I might annoy you at midnight. Your spouse may think you're having an affair if you're getting text messages late at night. Because you're getting messages from Birchie or whatever. But I'm sending you this sort of stuff because I'm doing my research and I just think it's good to share. Go check out the link there. Basically, what is this mechanism? They are now putting it out for the banks to test and stress test for them to go negative interest rate. So if the interest rate went negative today at the bank, the bank would be like a Y2K bug moment. It would revert back and it couldn't support a negative interest rate policy. That's why we're at a 0.1% and the rates haven't got negative yet. Just imagine what would have happened to your world if interest rates went negative. $1 million in debt at 2% interest rate is 20 grand a year. At 0% interest rate, it is free. Right? So think about what happens to your debt. Think about what's happened. So I just got a message come through. I'm just trying to look at some other. I left my other printouts. I heard them come through the photocopier as we'll on live. But just think about that. Just think about it. The next article that I wanted to read, and this is from a place called IT News. It is called "Banks Told to Prep IT Systems for the Possibilities of Negative Interest Rates." I shared this in Birchfeed today. So if you haven't got Birchfeed, go to birchfeed.com, get access to it. It's free. You don't have to be a cheap ass. The articles are there. By the end of April 2022, so we've got less than a year's time, Australia's banks have been directed to prepare their IT systems to deal with the prospect of zero or negative interest rates by the end of April next year. So APRA, which is one of the big governing bodies, which sits around with the RBA, sits around the table with all the people. Did you ever realize that, like, people go, oh, well, I'm in an upper class to you. I've got a Louis Vuitton handbag, and I've got a, I've got a Louis Vuitton wallet here. Actually, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not hanging shit on people with LV. Right? I'm just saying, people think that there's a status quo. Oh, I drive a better car or whatever. Right? We're all humans. We're all people. We're all just here having a good time. Spiritual beings having a human experience, right? People think that there's different layers of society, but if you think that you are in a high level of society, your ego has got you trapped in consumerism, right? There is other levels of society. People sit there and go, oh, the news, and we've got the prime minister, and he's the top of the food chain, right? And we go, no, no, no. We've got the queen at the top of the food chain, right? But the picture is so much deeper, right? It's so much deeper. So when you look above that, right, we might be about 5 layers or maybe about 13 layers that are out there. Different bloodlines of people, which certainly the new bloodlines coming out at the moment to humans because things are happening out there. But looking at who is controlling, right? We've now got mandatory QR codes, right? I was trying to organise on the way to the office. I was talking to one of my mates, he's a client of ours, and we're just having a bit of a chat. And I said, look, it's been 2 days we've been trying to organise a phone call, right? We're trying to organise a phone call, and it's been difficult. I've been busy, he's been busy, whatnot. Looking at that phone call, it's hard for things to happen sometimes, right? Imagine if you wanted to get 3 of your mates to go away on a holiday, right? 5 of your mates to go away on a holiday, 10 of your mates to go away on a holiday. How can you organise for everybody to go away at the same time? It becomes impossible because you just simply don't have. There's so many different variables, right? The question that I ask, right, and these are just the glitches in the matrix, because I see in my own world when it comes to financial affairs, what bullshit is propagandized out there. Then I ask more questions, more questions, more questions. I'd do my head in if I sat there and really wanted to know how deep every single layer is, right? But then who owns all these controlling? So when it comes to health, you understand why I question it, right? You ask, look at anything, you understand why I need to question it because I can see the flaws out there. But I said to this guy, imagine if we organise a holiday, right? You can't do it. How in the fuck has every single news outlet got the same propaganda going? Oh, this about this illness, this about this about that, right? Then we start looking at other things that are out there, whether it be the QR code thing, right? How come every state in the country has now got mandatory QR codes? That's never going to disappear, folks. That's never going to disappear. I'm taking you over to the next stage of what's coming very, very shortly. There's things that are going to come that's very different, right? People ask me about property and what's going to happen in the property market. This isn't a video on that. I talk about that very in depth over on YouTube. I do webinars. I did a webinar on how to pull equity 3 days ago. I go into all these different things of property, but this isn't it. I'm talking about the system that's on the other side, right? Because this is a currency system that is screwed, right? It is the death of our currency, right? Normally we have countries that go default, like Zimbabwe or Venezuela or whatever. And don't even get me started on the fact that four presidents in Africa, right? 4 presidents that are against this all got killed in the last month, right? You don't see that on the news. Maybe if you Google it on DuckDuckGo, you might find something that has been censored and pushed down, right? But 4 presidents have been killed in the last month globally for whatever they have to say. People are there sharing it. So you go check it out. Type in something into Google that's a bit controversial, type it into that, and then see the difference on it. How did we get every country joining into this thing, right? Because it's come from way above, right? Way above, right? Who controls it? Who are the people? Who are the bloodlines? Who is controlling these things, right? It's interesting. Just question it, right? Look a bit deeper, right? Don't just believe what you're watching from a propaganda outlet. It's no different from Nazi Germany or from Kim Jong-un or any other people that you've labeled as crazy in your life, right? It's propaganda, and who is promoting it out there? So that's one aspect of it. But I have realized recently that every time you go in, you've got to check in, right? You've got a digital footprint that's now being created. When my friends go out there and they get their jabberoonies, they've told me they've get a serial number, they've got a new registration, right? I don't know what that does, right? I don't know what this does, but it's not for me, right? I think we're all pretty clear on that. Get it? That's cool, right? I just ask questions on these things. I don't like. I've never done that, never done that, right? I just don't put things in my body that could affect it. Um, so my mates that have got it have then showed me that they've got these ID cards with certain things on it. And it's like, that's like a new registration plate. It's like you've got a rego plate on your car, right? You've just ID'd yourself for a system, right? But what is this system, right? There's a system that's working in China that's very effective at the moment. And I'm going to go to my final article that I'm going to read about something in China, right? But we've got a biometric camera system out there, right? And go to your local Coles, go to your local Woolworths, go and look at the signs out the front of it, right? These the biggest of biggest companies that are allowed open, right? Because no one else is allowed open, right? People talk about the small business and all that. If you have a small business in the area, go spend some cash if you can. Take it to the cafe, take it to the restaurant. Go and help them out where you can, right? Because they're getting screwed right now, right? But you go to these big companies, they've got shitloads more cameras, right? This data that is collected from there, that will group and pull people together. So if you are, it'll have like a little square, like when you take a photo and you see that little yellow square that goes around your face, right? And IDs the person, that data is now putting you into a database, right? If you're signing up to that database, it's taking your data and categorizing you. In China, if you walk across the road, you jaywalk, you don't have to worry getting fined. By the time you get to the other side, the money's gone from your account, right? It is a total Orwellian communist totalitarian system. That is our new monetary system. It is ugly, very ugly. I don't know what it looks like on the other side, right? Some people that are religious, doesn't matter if you're Christian or Islam or there's other religions that share this, right? Is it a society of the mark, right? I'm not going to go any further into it, right? That is my view on what's happening with our currency. Our currency is going to be totally annihilated very soon. Our currency's gone. Bye bye. Our debt will be, well, bye bye, right? And I've got lots of debt, so I like seeing the debt go bye bye, right? I like to see my bills going down due to inflation, the currency being devalued, right? Uh, how do you store your wealth? Is your wealth stored? I see people sitting here saying buy gold, buy silver, have Bitcoin. All these things are cool, right? Do just be really careful. I can see that there's scammers on here right now asking for crypto. So I don't ask for crypto. My staff don't ask for crypto. My business doesn't ask for crypto. There is a fake Facebook page. They set them up every week. They do them on all different channels. It's a good thing because I know that I'm popular. That people want to try to scam the page, but don't fall into it. No one's ever going to ask you to donate crypto or pay for anything from the business, right? If you want to do business with us, you can call us 1300 367 925, email us at admin@binvested.com.au, send us a message on this page, but watch out for those scammers because they're out there trying to trick people on every sort of page, large ones out there. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, just looking at the where I was going with this. Um, the system that we're entering into, right? Is crypto going to be the thing of the future, right? I always said from the start that Bitcoin has the ability to bring peace and prosperity like never seen before. It can also be used there to trap, enslave, and screw up humanity. And I believe that a lot of these controlling powers, right? These foundations out there, these organizations which there to protect people, right? It's like running to the copper, but the copper's the murderer, right? You're getting sent to the slaughterhouse. I see it in all aspects, right? The setup is there to, you know, keep people tracked. It's there to control us. So Just be very, very mindful of it. Why are we going to a zero interest rate? I called this 4 years ago. Right? There's a video series. If you haven't seen it, it's about 10 hours. Right? For some of you people that are in, um, that are in, just seeing lots of messages coming through here. So, looking at, um, you know, where are we going with this? What is happening with the interest rates? I talked about this a few years ago, so I remember what I was saying there. Go check out YouTube. There's a series called Raw and Uncut. It is not my OnlyFans page. It is not porno. It is a video series of when I first started talking about the system at large and as a whole. It's called Raw and Uncut. It's about 5 video series, 2 hours each webinar, and I talk about the cracks that I see in the system. I talked about the bond market imploding. I talked about the flattening of the yield curve. I talked about yield curve control. I had prognosticated that we would see an interest rate reduction. In February 2019, I did a seminar, a live seminar. It was the second last one that I've ever done as a speaking event. I had maybe 100 of our investors in a room, and I said that we would see an interest rate cut not before 90 days and not after 120. So I was very specific with the two dates. On the 4th of June 2019, we started seeing the interest rates drop, and they dropped and dropped and dropped. I remember specifically in September 2019, it was around the start to mid. I did about 4 Facebook Lives like we're doing now, and I read similar articles talking about how we're going to see, testing of the monetary system and the banks not being able to, do their yield curve control there. Um, Basically, we're in a point now which um, I would have expected would have been in negative interest rates by end of financial year last year. Right. What I didn't foresee is the total control, how deep the beast of the system is, um, and they introduced some new tools. Right. Mortgage holidays, tremendous. Right. Notice how JobKeeper finished in March. Notice how the system was starting to fuck up again. And what did they do? Surprise, surprise, we've got this lockdown, a few people getting sick, a couple of people might get injured and die. You know, it happens every day, cost of life. But we get to keep the whole financial system alive, right? They've now put things on hold. How can you get out of this system? Because people can't afford their mortgages, you just make the mortgages free, and that is the term of the situation of the game. So putting mortgage holidays, never saw that. That's amazing. They've extended it now, and you can go and get relief because you need to. You can get JobKeeper, which is in essence a universal basic income. I called it a UBI, which wasn't a sexual transmitted disease. UBI is a universal basic income, and they have started using that. We're going to see this go into other formats in the future, right? I believe that we're going to start seeing, if you want to get support, if you want to get some money from the system, because people are going to be eating rubbish out of the bin to survive, right? That's what happens in a depression. This depression is different. It's a reverse of a normal depression. People in a depression, they can't afford things because there's no money. This time, it's a hyperinflationary depression. So we're going to see people can't afford things because they're just too expensive, and the cost keeps rising. So the support that will come from the system will be via the means of a digital currency, which sounds like a Bitcoin, sounds like fun. But the digital currency will be in the format if you get it from your government app. If you get this one done to you, there'll be very strict terms and conditions placed upon you in order to be able to get that. Registering yourself for the new IDing and the new system that you will be enslaved to. That's not a system I want to be on. I'm going to go into depth on this on a webinar. The first Wednesday of August, I'll be doing a webinar on how to prepare for that, sort of transition into that market. But I'll be going into depth on that date. this is my last article, and I'm going to get into my views and my thoughts on it. This article is from the Sydney Morning Herald. It says, "Does China know something the rest of the world does not?" That is the article there, if someone wants to go and look it up later on. I think I posted this in the Birch feed earlier. Stephen Bartholomew's. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Why did China announce a cut to its bank's reserve requirements last week? What is a cut to the bank's reserve requirements, you may ask? Right? The requirement to, I see the scammers, they're still going. They're still trying to scare people of their Bitcoin. Why did China announce a cut to its bank's reserve requirements last week? Let's understand what the reserve requirements is. We run on a thing called a fractional reserve system, which means that if you put $1,000 in the bank can lend out another 9,000. So it's interest, basically, right? They're creating, sorry, I don't know why I said interest. They're creating, they're creating currency based off the fact that they're holding. So they've got a 9-to-1 holding as their requirements. The bank must keep 10% of funds at hand and lend out 9 times more than it. So cutting that means that the bank could keep 1%, right? So if it had $1, it could lend out $99, right? Just means that the banks have got more power to create more liquidity, to create more cash flow going through the system, so the system can stay afloat. The government has announced a 50 basis point reduction in its reserve requirement ratio effective from this Thursday, which should add to about 1 trillion yuan, 210 billion worth of liquidity to its banking system, right? In September 2019, when we did these, the same news articles came out where I was talking about negative interest rates and the banks had to prepare for it. The banks were in a bit of strife, and there was a thing called a repo market, which is a repurchasing agreements. The New York Fed had to start printing at a rate of, I think it started off about $10 billion a day, and it was only meant to last for a week, and then it went on for a month, and it got to about 100 billion, and now I think it's up to like 300 billion. We never heard about it through Corona because they just started printing all these stimulus packages, but they're not working as well. So what we're seeing at the moment is, from a global perspective, we're seeing that there's a relaxation from the back end, right? So interest rates, I believe, should have went negative in and around by sort of June 2020, which they haven't. They're at 0.1%, which we haven't been able to break through the zero bound barrier. But there is now mounting pressure to push through and for the bottom to fall out of that market to take it negative, which is great. Will we see? I'm seeing some funny messages and some words in here as well in the comments. I don't want to get too excited and jump into those comments there, but we're seeing relaxation of monetary policy all around the world. This is a global problem. It is a global debt-based fiat Ponzi scheme of currency that we have, and it is imploding. It is not exploding, it is imploding. It's like one of those cans where you see the fire in it. It's like, there's these videos on YouTube, which is like a 44-gallon drum, and they light a fire underneath, and then they whack the can with a stick after it gets to a certain temperature, and the can just goes, and it just like squishes up. It's like seeing a bottle, got a bottle of water here, and just like goes like that. That's what's going to happen to the market. All the currency will be wiped out in the future, right? Currency, your money that you use, is debt. I believe we're going to see our debts get wiped out at some point, not right at the moment. And there will be a point where you want to pay out the debt, but it is not until that debt becomes worthless. We're now seeing, when you see APRA through the form, here we are here, when APRA says that they are doing consultation in preparedness for zero and negative interest rates, this shit's real, right? And when our currency dies, our dollar will not survive this decade. That's why I said in March 2020, when I remember doing a whiteboard session, office next door to mine here, got onto the whiteboard, started drawing, about hyperinflation. It was one of my favorite videos. Everyone loved it there. People were like, shit, hyperinflation was going to occur. I said in there that it would start around 3 years and go on for maybe 7 to 10 years. A lot of people we know will lose out. They'll lose their homes, they'll lose their jobs, they'll lose their spouse, they'll lose, everything they own because they can't afford, right? I went to the shops the other day. I don't go out. When people talk about lockdowns and social distancing and all this sort of shit, I don't go out that much, right? But I had to go to the shops the other day, and I went to the shops and I was looking at people from all different walks of life, right? And I was looking at the cost of things, and I picked up some apples, and I didn't want to go to, Coles and Woolworths to go and buy my fruit and vegetable because it's fake, right? The food is fake, right? They're using special seeds and special chemicals and special things which are not good for your body. And I went in there, I got some food, and I was like picking up like the expensive ones, the organic ones, and the ones that they might be a little bit better. I don't even trust the ones that come from there. I like to know exactly where the produce comes from. But I went in there, picked up the food, and I was looking at the price of it all, and I was like, I don't know how people survive, right? I don't know how the average family survives right now, and they're just surviving, right? They're just right. They're just getting by. You got the mum going to work, the dad going to work, them both trying to work to pay for the mortgage, which is almost nothing, but the debt's up to the eyeballs and all these sorts of things. What, how will people survive the other side of this? So that's the important part, right? Protect yourself. Understand how you can, operate through this system. I will be going into this, into debt, into details. I'm reading here. Social credit system incoming. Social credit system is locked in, right? Someone wrote here, it is an NWO. If you don't know what that is, you need to do some research. It is the new something order W world. That's what it is. 2021 and 2023. This is lots of messages coming through. So yeah, looking at the agenda that's coming through, I think there's many more powers, right? A lot of people think whether it be from the ground roots, it's me against the neighbor, it's the white guy against the colored guy, the colored person against the other colored person, or it's the rich person, the poor person, the liberal voter, the labor voter. It's all bullshit, right? We're all on the same level. There's levels that are much higher, right? And when you realize you're on like level 2 or 3, you want to know about those levels that are higher. Not that you're in them, that you're not at the club with them or whatever. It's that you want to know what hands they're moving and how you can benefit or how you're going to be negatively affected from that. So just, be questioned, be diligent, look at what's happening out there. So looking at why I believe we're going to negative rates, aside from that, I posted out maybe a week ago. Some of you guys that are in Birchfeed could have told everyone when I actually posted it, but I did. Maybe someone could share a photo of it if you could. I'll try and look here, but I posted in there the yield curve, right? So this is the yield curve here. This is where are we here? That's the yield curve there. As you can see, the grey one on the top, there's two lines there. It's a bit faint here. There you go. The grey one on the top is where it went up to, and the blue one is where it's at now. So the rate, the bond yields that they were referring to, has gone up, and now it's coming back down. So what that means is that the yield curve went like this. That is a healthy one. So you got the shorter yield curve here being like if you put your money away for a month, you get 1%. If you put it away for 6 months, you get 2%. You put it away for a year, you get 3%. You put it away for 10 years, you get 5%. Whatever, right? Just using it as an example. What happens is when that yield curve flattens, it means that you're getting 1% for 1 year or 1% for 10 years or 30 years. You would be stupid for investing it for the longer end of the yield. So as the yield curve flattens, that causes a problem because you have a death cross where it crosses over. That middle part is where it dies. The yield curve is flattening and it's going from this down, so the longer tail is going lower, and that is why I know that we're heading back into this. I think, like if we look at the news, the news says that interest rates going up, interest rates going up, interest rates going up, interest rates going up, but the policymakers are out there testing ideas on how to have a negative interest rate. And I believe that as we enter into a new digital currency, there will be no cash, it'll be a cashless society. There's going to be new scams, right? Not the one like this, not the one that's like this, right? It could be, I don't know, was that a UFO I saw out there? Right? Could be that. It could be cyber attacks, right? It could be um, many. It could be, I believe that they're going to make it more about food, right? I think food's very important. I think it's going to be um, important to control your food um, because who knows, right? I believe that they might come out one day in the not too distant future. Um, so, Steve, I'd only thought about it about 7 o'clock, so that's why it's a bit impromptu tonight because it's very important info. But looking at, um, they could say, okay, bluebirds, right? Sometimes people have heard me make videos in my yard, and I've got these birds, and they just chirp away. They're little bluebirds. They're like little finches, little tiny birds, and they make noises. Over in, I think it's America somewhere, these birds are just dying, right? They don't know why the birds are dying. They're just saying like the birds are dying, they're dropping dead, right? What made me think of this is that why are the birds dying? They've done autopsies. They can't tell what's going wrong, but they do know the bird is going blind before it dies, right? So now we've got an illness that's forcing people to do certain things, right? And when they're doing certain things, is entering them into a new database and a new system, right? What would happen if there was a alleged sickness or illness that had to kill cows or lamb or birds or whatever, right? And then it forces people to eat synthetic cows and food and whatever, right? I wouldn't be too put past the fact that they could turn people away from eating meat. Yeah. And you know, if people don't eat meat, people that's fine. I don't eat heaps of meat, but you know, the way that they're trying to condition us is very interesting because I own the propaganda outlet. So firstly, I believe nothing I see on any media. Whatever I do see, I want to go and question it, and I do want to know more about it. And I've only got limited hours in the day, so I try and fit as much as I can in. The interest rates is a very important one because that's what we're here today to talk about. Someone just asked, would gold be put against the dollar digital? No, right? If you had the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world, right, and you're the most powerful, the biggest ruler, the biggest kingdom that you could control, which is the whole planet Earth, why would you give that away, right? People think that it'll go back to, um, people think that it will be, um, seeing all these messages is cool. Um, People think that it'll be put back to a gold standard. It won't. It's inevitable. Like it's inevitable it'll crash, but it won't. It'll be going to a digital currency. You are the asset, right? You are the asset to the system. Right? Just think about this. Facebook uses your data to become successful. The only value behind Facebook is the social system that they've got, because they control your data. They know more about your thoughts, on what you click and what you think, and what you look at, and when you go to someone's page, or whatever. They know more about you than you know about yourself, right? Because they're using your data. So in this system, right, you are the human capital. They'll make it look pretty. Oh, you don't need to own anything. You'll be wealthy, all these sorts of things. You'll be happy. But who are these people? We're now starting to see corporate entities coming and buying. They've bought all the farms, they've bought all the food, they've bought production, they've bought the media, they've bought everything else. They've come in now to buy all the housing. So I think we're going to see the Amazons, the Googles, the Facebooks, all of the big companies that control our data start controlling where we live, how we live, maybe have some smart cities, have some new infrastructure projects, railway lines, fast rails throughout Australia. If we're just looking at Australia itself, having those little smart cities would be great, right? Imagine all the incentives that would be behind it, all the new batteries that need to be created, all the new solar panels that could be sold, all the new electricity devices, all the new smart tech that will be going in there. It is a control grid to control you inside of that system. I'm all about freedom. I want to control myself. I want to control my life. I want to live life on my terms. So, it's a little bit about my background on it. Does negative interest rates mean that I can max out a couple of credit cards and not have to pay it back? Well, if you were to, how I see a negative interest rate, it was successfully trialled out in Denmark going back about 4 years ago, where a Danish bank had made it negative 0.5%. So the interest rate was negative 0.5%. So if you were to have $1 million loan, instead of you paying 5%, which would be 50 grand a year, you would have got paid $5,000 a year for having that loan. That is a negative interest rate. I would love to see it come to the retail banks. I've got lots of debt. I've got lots of investors that have lots of debt. People ask, how could the bank still make money if it was negative interest rate? If the RBA paid the bank to take away money, which is basically all the toxic waste, the toxic dump, and all the shit in the system, they need to keep this Ponzi scheme alive to keep their currency, to keep their game. We need to keep expanding currency. The minute currency stops expanding, we have a big problem, and they can't stop it, because imagine, I don't know how you'd explain this one. You need to keep feeding it, right? If you have something, you feed 1 bottle of water, right? And then suddenly you need to feed 2 bottles of water, right? And you need to do 4 bottles of water, 8 bottles of water, and just keep doubling it. It gets to a point where you'd be throwing the ocean at it, and it still would be doing a piss in the ocean, right? So we've now got a system which needs to keep expanding, but it is running out of parameters. Some people are going to do very well out of it. Some people are going to be very, very trapped by it. So make sure you're protecting yourself. Make sure that you're doing the right things to get ahead. This is not a webinar, like a webinar to talk about that. I will be doing a webinar specifically on the topic next month, on the first Wednesday of next month. If you don't know how to get access to it, send a message to my team, give us the buzz, 1300 367 925, flick us an email, and my team will get you connected to the webinar next month, where I'll be talking about little things you can do, whether it be growing your food, whether it be collecting different old currency. There's currencies that I've been investing in that people would never have thought about. People are talking about gold and silver and stuff like that. Well, this is copper, right? I picked up 300 kilos of it the other day, and I store it. I literally have to have it on pallets, right? I have to have it stacked on pallets and stuff to store that shit. Imagine being the king of the old world, right? Imagine, like, you could have a gold bar, right? You could have a silver bar, you could have whatever, right? But people need to trade, right? What did the kings and queens use throughout all of millennia, right? How did they store their wealth? Is it about stacking metal? Currency is like energy. It needs to have momentum to make it effective. A bag of pennies, right? These are just old pennies, right? These junk pennies. I think it's maybe like kilo, 2 kilos, maybe 2 kilos of pennies in here. A kilo, I don't know, something like. It looks about 2 kilos of pennies. If that sits there, yes, it will still be 2 kilos of pennies. It's not doing anything to be momentum around the system, right? I like having cash flow. That's where the money's at. Cash sitting in your bank account is dormant. If you had $1,000 today, if you go to work this week, you earn $1,000, you get it in your bank account, you can go out and buy shit with it. You will never be able to buy the same amount of goods as what you can buy today with that $1,000 because your purchasing power is being diminished. You are losing your purchasing power. If it was based on this, you would be staying stable, but it's not a stable currency. You need to be taking your cash and using it to buy assets that are going to bring you more cash. And that cash flow that's coming in needs to be cash flow that can be inflated away. So it's yeah, that's the exciting time. So I can see there's lots of questions here. I will try and go through some of them. I'm just looking here. There's just so many, so many comments here. So I appreciate everyone um, checking. um, Andy said, "Listen to Dave Ramsey. Don't go into debt. Pay cash for everything." I've seen Dave Ramsey. I've watched him for years. I think that he is given the worst advice you could ever give. Right? He says to get into scammy stocks and tells you to pay out debt and not have debt. It might sound great in one aspect, but the fact is that um, you know leverage is very important. Every single successful organization on the stock market is leveraged. If you look at every nation, they've all got levels of debt. To expand and grow, you need to have a level of leverage. So it can be the human capital, which if you've got yourself, if I'm my own human body, I can only leverage myself. If you can leverage other people, that's great as well. But the intermediary is the leverage of currency. And we're working in a world which we've got currency that's very, very cheap and inflation that's going to be very rampant. So I think Dave Ramsey's advice would be very, very um, not the best. So yeah, lots and lots of comments here. All 33s fit on a 2-inch lift. So yeah, there's lots of comments there. But tonight I really just wanted to come out and talk to everyone about what I've acknowledged today, which is APRA has said that they are putting on the ADIs. When you see what an ADI is, it's an authorized deposit institution, deposit taking institution, i.e. a bank, someone that can take a deposit by law. They have a banking license. They are now encouraging them to get the bank set up. It's come straight from the mouth of the devil itself to say, you know, you've got until April 2022, which is about 9 months away, to get yourselves ready to have a negative interest rate. Show us that you can do it. What is that saying? It's saying that we are headed for negative interest rates, right? We're heading in that direction. Doesn't mean that they're going to drop them tomorrow. We could actually see interest rates go up twice, right? My prediction today is that we could see interest rates go up 2 times. A lot of people ask me, how high could they go? Right? If we were to see interest rates, I think it'd be like a 10% chance that interest rate could rise. I believe that we could see it only go up twice at 0.25%. But if it was to go up, it would have to have severe cushioning on the other side, because as they push it up, it'll cause so much deflation. Every tradie, let me tell you, if you're a tradie, right, you'd be killing it right now. If you're a tradie, you'd be like, fuck, like life's so good, I've never earned so much money, right? If you're a tradie or you're trying to get a tradie, you'll see that their prices have gone up. You'd see they're rolling around in cool cars, right? All those sorts of things. If the system wasn't built up to support that, and those tradies all lost their jobs, they wouldn't be buying a car, they wouldn't be buying new furniture, they wouldn't be getting new sick tattoos, they wouldn't be doing whatever it is, so the money would be taken away from that system. They need to keep injecting this in to keep it alive, right? If they were to very sharply chop that off, we'd see a massive, massive problem. And that's why I'm so happy, because it's checkmate. It is really, really checkmate. You have a bit of water, getting parched. Where will it go? We're still in this decade, right? We're 1 year into a 10-year cycle that I feel like we're in. Um, be aware, be alert. I was talking some interesting stuff at the start of the video. If you found it interesting, go and revisit it. Do question it, do think, do research. Um, Ask yourself, like, why am I being forced? Why is Bunnings telling me to go and get the old into me? Why is Woolworths telling me to get it into me? If the interest of the nation and the country was meant to go get this, right? Why didn't they give free ones to people with illnesses that need life support, right? People die all the time. Why don't they stop people from dying of lung cancer from smoking, right? Why don't they ban it, right? Because we would have no medical system, right? I want to know why they're trying to push us on that. I want to know why we've been signed up to a new digital system, right? It all ties back to a financial system. That we're going into a new system, new era, new order, whatever they want to call it. They're not going to call it just straight out for what it is. They need buy-in. They need people to sign up and take the Pledge of Allegiance and go on and fight for, they're controlling that system. So be alert. It is World War III. I didn't come on here to go too conspiracy theory style, but here we are in 2021. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, interest rates were talked about going up. It was literally the start. It was February 2019. The RBA boss had said interest rates will be going up. The next move, they will be going up. Within 90 days to 120 days, they came down by the first quarter of a percent, and they kept falling. And we're now at 0% interest rates. Are you going to listen to the media when they say interest rates are going to go up? Are you going to listen to the media when they say property prices are in a boom? Are you going to listen to the media when they say, buy now before it's too late? Right? The property market, people say, oh, is it in a bubble? The whole system's in a bubble. It's a Ponzi scheme. Your house is a house. Your house is worth one house. That's what your house is worth. Your house is worth $1 billion, if you want to call it that, right? Um, the dollar value is the dollar value of the currency. That's what's moving in the system. Is your currency. It's not your house, right? There's still 50 houses in your street, whether you have the dollar or not. What it's worth in controlling it back to the currency is whatever you place on that. We're going to lose this currency. We will not have a dollar as its current format. It will be entering into a digital um, illusion of wealth. If it's trapped in the bank, it's never yours. They can cut you off whenever they want. They can tell you no soup for you. They can say you can't come in, enter this place if you don't do this. If you don't sign up to this, you don't do this. Just be careful out there, guys. It is a war zone out there. Lots of misinformation. Lots of people saying. Someone actually messaged me. This is a bit off topic. People asked me today, Nathan, you sign up to a petition about about the thing, right? To say that you're not going to do it. Why would I go and enter my details into anything? I don't want to enter my details into shit, right? What happens if they say get a petition? So you say let's stand against this. Now they've got all the people that say that they don't want to have this, right? Just question it, make smart decisions. I'm questioning the financial market. That's what I'm an expert in. I'm not an expert in health. I'm not an expert in food. I'm not an expert in lots of other things. I just question it. I'm amused by it. I make my own conscious decisions from my own mind. I still control my mind, which is great. I think everybody else should. When it comes to the financial side of things, it's a very, very interesting world out there, a very awesome world financially. I believe there'll be lots of people becoming very, very wealthy over the course of the next decade. They are now. Lots of people think that they're wealthy. They're like sitting on their property. It's gone up from 500 grand to $1 million. Now they've got 500 grand in equity. The problem is that if you don't use that and you don't expand your base, if you think about the expansion of this system, the big corporations that I talked about beforehand, they've just grown and expanded their base. The media has grown and expanded its base. The government's totalitarian fascist communist society has grown its power, right? Have you grown your base? Have you grown your wealth? What are you doing at this point to control your wealth? You can try and protect it, you can diminish it, you can lose purchasing power, or you can capitalize on it and expand it. And that's something that the last 5 years, I've analysed the chessboard and I'm like, shit, I can own every single pawn on the chessboard in my little world, right? What are you doing to own your chessboard? That's the question, guys and girls. So, on that note, I'm about to go for a midnight walk. I've got one of my mates coming over, going to stop being a fat bastard, trying to lose some weight. I've got some documents I need to sign. I've got about 500, maybe 1,000, like massive, massive piles of documents that need to be signed in the other room. For my tax, doing some tax. I don't know what I'm doing this for, but trying to catch up on it so I can go and expand my currency supply by getting loans and taking advantage of this system. It's been a very long time since I went and purchased properties using a loan and using debt. Now, but I'm going to try and set myself up to go and expand my position because I've got a very low debt to value ratio. My LVR at the moment might be about 15%, if that. Like that's the amount of loan that I got, and the rest of it's in equity. I'd like to knock that up a little bit. If I could go out and get myself 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 mil worth of equity, who knows what games we'll be playing at the table. So, yeah, question asked for you guys is how are you going to take advantage if interest rates were to go negative, which is quite evident that they're pushing for that and that they will go. What are you doing in order to take advantage of that position? What would happen to property prices if interest rates went negative? What would happen to your property portfolio if you had negative interest rates on it? There's the question. There's the question, right? So, I've seen a few questions, a few funny comments in here. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everyone. Just remember a couple of things. Everyone says stay safe, right? Don't stay safe. Stay woke, right? Stay woke. Question shit, right? Like control yourself. Have your own mind. Don't be programmed from the TV screen on the wall. Um, Second thing, if you want to find some alternative thoughts and grow your thought pattern, birchfeed.com, sign up to it. It's free. All I do is get your phone number and email address, which, that is my system. If you want to do business with, do business. I don't go and spam you stuff. I send you out just content that I watch every day. And if I see something good, I'll send it to you. And make sure that you register for next month's webinar, which is going to be how to protect yourself in the new system. There's lots of things that I'm thinking about, lots of things that I'm being prepared for. Off-grid control of food, water, currency, community. There's lots of things there that you can control in your own world. You don't want to be asking for favors from the toughest guy on the block, because we can see what the toughest guy on the block does. It's not me, it's not you, it's not the big guy with the muscles down the street. It is the system that's sitting on top of us. So on that note, folks, thanks a lot for tuning in, and have a great week ahead and keep hustling. Bye for now.